I guess I'm playing devil's advocate here and saying why? Why do we necessarily value size? I value aesthetic, right? I value something that's good looking, whether it's 8,500 square feet or 1,000 square feet. I value good architecture. I value good design and
Proportionality.
or proportionality. And so I guess I'm going to, somewhat challenge the premise that smaller necessarily is better. I agree that none of us want McMansions and none of us want huge houses on small lots. But when you start talking about, and we'll use the acre lot, when you start talking about an 8,500 square foot, and I wouldn't just say an 85 or an 87 square foot, 100 square foot house. I mean, you're talking about a house with maybe a garage and a guest house, and I mean, it's an acre. I mean, you could conceivably have a huge garage and a guest house, and then have 20,000 square feet of lawn. I mean, really, you could, and that would be very proportional. So, why necessarily do we as a community want to put, make this something that we value in the process of somewhat punishing? I'm going to use the word punitive again. Somewhat punishing existing homeowners by taking away what they currently have, which is freedom to build up to a certain point.
I guess we could debate that all day long, but I think what it comes down to is it's not that we value smaller is better. I think what we value is compatibility with the fabric of what's built in town, and that's a direct thing from the general plan. I mean, if we look at what the general plan has put in, is tantamount. The main issue is compatibility with the fabric of what's built in Sierra Madre, and you could deduce that that's smaller is better. That's the mechanism by which what makes Sierra Madre a village, charming, that close-knitness. And so I don't think we're saying smaller is better. I think we're saying compatibility and fitting with sort of the character and the
Okay. The other proposal I had was for, and I had discussed this last meeting, was to, and then if you could pass one down, was to potentially add a fourth tier, which we had discussed. And I'll quickly just go over this proposal. The third tier would be changed in that it would add, instead of 10%, it would be at 12% over the area for 11,000 square feet. And that third tier would be 11,000 to 30,000 square feet. And then we would create a fourth tier for over 30,000 square feet, and you'd start at 5,780, which would be, if you take the 3,500 square foot number plus the 12% up to 2,999, then you get to 5,780. And then you would get, from there, 10% of the area over 30,000, which actually scales back. It would be, instead of 12, you'd have 10%. And the big change there would be plus 5% of the area over 30,000 for detached accessory buildings. And so my view on this, and again, I had talked to John Hudd about this after the meeting, and he proposed this during the meeting. What we don't want are huge houses on these big lots. We completely agree. No one wants it. Well, we don't want huge houses on little lots. We also don't want, gargantuan houses on gargantuan lots. So, but this would make sure that you had a house itself that would be, scaled back quite considerably to what we're allowing now. But you would still add this provision where 5% over the 30,000, you would be allowed to build a detached building, whether that is a garage or some sort of permanent second unit. And I think that, in my mind, that allows folks to continue the enjoyment and use of their property without, and at the same time making sure that quote-unquote McMansions aren't being built, and making sure that you don't have 8,000 square foot houses, on some of these lots. And so to me, this is a reasonable compromise, and I think it strengthens the ordinance, and just want to get your guys' thoughts on it.